Welcome back to the deep dive. I want to start today with a sensation that I think is going to feel uncomfortably familiar to a lot of you listening right now.
Hmm.
It's that really specific feeling you get at, say, 10:30 p.m. on a Thursday. You are physically shattered. Your body feels like lead. You lay down, you close your eyes, you're ready for sleep, and then
Yeah.
the engine just kicks on.
The tired but wired phenomenon. It feels like the defining physiological state of the modern era, doesn't it?
It really is. The body is exhausted, but the internal idle speed is set to like 5,000 RPMs. The mind is racing, the heart is thumping just a little too hard against the mattress.
You just can't power down.
You cannot power down.
Hmm.
And usually when we feel this, or, when we're dealing with deeper stuff like chronic anxiety, burnout, or the aftermath of trauma, we treat it like a logic puzzle. We think, okay, I just need to change my mindset.
Right. I need to think my way out of this. I need to debug the code.
Exactly. We try to debug the code.
That's the default approach, and it has been for decades. We treat the human being like a computer that has a software glitch. We assume that if we can just talk enough, analyze enough, or, I don't know, find the right positive affirmation, we can rewrite the code and the machine will just run smoothly again.
But the whole stack of research we're diving into today
Yeah.
suggests that we've been looking at this completely wrong, or at least we've been ignoring half the machine.
The most important half, arguably.
The premise here is that trauma, stress, and that wired feeling,
Yeah.
they aren't just software glitches, they are hardware problems. They are physically stuck in the cables, the gears, the very fascia of your nervous system.
And that distinction, software versus hardware, that is the fundamental shift we need to make today. For so long, psychology's been very top-down.
Right.
We try to use the brain, our logic, our words, our cognition, to control the body. But the research we're exploring suggests we need to go bottom up. We need to use the body to hack the brain.
Use the body to hack the brain. I like that.
Because you can't talk your nervous system out of a state of threat. You have to show it safety, somatically.
So our mission today is to build a toolkit for that bottom-up approach. We're going to unpack how we can, manually reset the nervous system without a single pill, using the body's own built-in mechanisms. We're talking about learning to shake it off like a wild animal, hacking the vagus nerve, which is this data highway between your brain and your gut. And we're even going to look at therapeutic boxing and why digging in the dirt is basically a biological antidepressant.
It's a fascinating menu. And it really challenges the idea that healing has to be this purely cerebral, intellectual process.
Yeah.
Sometimes healing looks like shaking, humming, or drawing circles.
To get us centered on why this matters so much, I want to start with the wild animal paradise. This was the specific aha moment that really launched this entire field of somatic therapy.
It's the foundational observation is where it all began.
So picture this savanna. You have a herd of impala. These animals are living in what is, for all intents and purposes, a literal horror movie every single day.
Constantly.
They're constantly being hunted. A cheetah could just explode out of the grass at any second. An impala gets chased. It watches its herd mates get taken down. It barely escapes with its life. By all human standards, that impala should be a total nervous wreck.
Right. It should be suffering from severe PTSD. It should be hypervigilant, looking over its shoulder, unable to sleep, having flashbacks of the chase.
Then it doesn't. 10 minutes after a life or death chase, if the impala survives, it goes right back to grazing. It's calm. It's present. It's not dissociating. So the massive question is, why don't wild animals get PTSD? They live under constant threat of death, yet they don't carry the trauma. We get a nasty email from a boss, or we get into a fender bender, and we carry that stress in our shoulders for 3 years.
And it comes down to how we handle the energy of survival. And I mean energy in a very, very literal biological sense.
Not a metaphysical thing.
Not at all. When that cheetah attacks, the impala's body undergoes a massive, instantaneous chemical shift. It gets flooded with adrenaline, cortisol, glucose. This is rocket fuel. It is high-voltage energy designed for one specific purpose: explosive movement.
Escape.
Yes, escape.
Okay, so the tank is full of rocket fuel. The impala runs, burns off some of it, and it escapes.
Yeah.
Then what?
This is the key. And if you watch nature documentaries really closely, you'll see it. After the threat is gone, the animal doesn't just go back to eating immediately. It stops. And it shapes.
It shakes.
It trembles, it shudders, it vibrates. Sometimes it takes these big, heaving, jagged breaths. It almost looks like a seizure or a shiver just running through the whole body.
Wow.
But what's happening is a biological discharge. It is literally shaking off that leftover high-voltage survival energy. It is the nervous system's way of hitting the reset button. That physical shaking tells the brain, the event is over. The energy has been used. You are safe now.
And this is where we as humans have a problem.
Huge one.
We have the exact same biology. We have the same amygdala, the same adrenaline dump. We get that same rocket fuel when we get cut off in traffic or when we're in a high-stakes negotiation or, during a traumatic event. But we don't shake.
No, because we have this big, sophisticated social prefrontal cortex, our thinking brain, that says, don't shake. That looks weird.
Right. Pull yourself together.
Don't cry in the meeting. Be a professional. Keep a stiff upper lip. All these social rules.
We override the hardware. We use our software to suppress the hardware's natural release valve.
Exactly. We suppress the discharge. And here is the terrifying part and really the core of what we're discussing today. Because we don't discharge that energy, it doesn't just evaporate.
No.
It gets trapped. It stays in the muscles, in the fascia, in the nervous system. The body keeps the score. The body thinks the threat is still happening because the cycle never completed.
Oh, wow.
The rocket fuel is still in the tank, just corroding the engine.
That is the hardware glitch. We are walking around with 20-year-old survival energy stuck in our system, and we wonder why we're anxious or why our back hurts.
Precisely. We are living in a state of chronic, undischarged mobilization.
So before we get into the how-to of releasing this, because I know everyone is listening and wants to know how to hit that reset button, we need to understand the machine a bit better.
Yeah, we have to.
We need to do a deep dive into the physiology of this stuck energy. Let's open up the hood and look at the autonomic nervous system, the ANS.
Right. And the best way to understand the ANS, without getting bogged down in medical textbooks, is a car analogy. It's a bit of a cliche, I know, but it works perfectly here.
I love this analogy because it makes the invisible visible. So break it down for us.
Okay. So your nervous system has two main modes of operation that everyone usually talks about. First, you've got the sympathetic nervous system. Think of this as the gas pedal of the car.
The gas pedal.
This is mobilization, fight or flight. When the light turns green or when a threat appears, you hit the gas. Your heart rate spikes, blood rushes away from your stomach and into your biceps and quads. Your pupils dilate to see the threat. You are ready for action.
And I want to be clear here, because in the wellness world, sympathetic gets a really bad rap.
Yeah.
The gas pedal isn't bad.
Oh, not at all. We need it.
We need it.
Absolutely. You need the gas pedal to get out of bed in the morning. You need it to exercise. You need it to feel excitement or passion. You need it to run from a burning building. It's vital for survival and for engagement with life.
Okay.
But then you have the counterweight, the parasympathetic nervous system. This is the break. This is rest and digest.
This is the recovery mode, the
Perfect.
chill out mode.
Right. It slows the heart rate. It lowers blood pressure. It aids digestion. It allows for immune repair and, crucially, social connection. A healthy nervous system is like a high-performance sports car. It has a powerful engine and amazing brakes, and it can switch between them instantly.
Danger, gas,
No.
safety, brake. But trauma, or even just chronic stress, it messes with the pedals.
It does. But there's a third state that people often miss, and this is crucial for understanding why we get stuck. It's not just gas or brake. There is also the freeze.
The deer in the headlights.
Exactly that. In polyvagal terms, we call this the dorsal vagal state. Imagine you're in that sports car. You see a brick wall right in front of you. You slam on the brakes hard. But because of a mechanical failure or just sheer panic, your foot is also jammed on the gas pedal.
At the same time.
At the exact same time. So the engine is revving, you're burning fuel, the tachometer is redlining, but the car isn't moving.
Wow.
That is the freeze. That is the tired but wired feeling. Physically, on the outside, you look still. You might feel numb, dissociated, depressed, or just stuck.
Like you can't get off the couch.
Right. But underneath that numbness is a tornado of trapped energy. The engine is screaming.
That is such a vivid and, frankly, terrifying image. It explains why relaxing is so hard for people who've been through trauma. They aren't just failing to brake, they're actively fighting against a stuck gas pedal.
Exactly. And this state, this dorsal vagal shutdown, it happens when fight or flight aren't options. If the impala is caught by the cheetah, it can't run and it can't fight, so it goes limp.
It plays dead.
It plays dead. It shuts down to numb the pain of impending death. It's a brilliant last-ditch survival mechanism.
But for humans, we get stuck there. We get stuck in the freeze response to, I don't know, a bad childhood or a toxic job. And this has massive physical consequences, right? This isn't just feeling bad.
Oh, it's systemic. It's devastating. If your engine is revving while you're stopped, you're going to burn out parts.
Oh,
The body is just flooded with inflammatory chemicals. We see chronic pain, especially in the lower back and hips, and we'll talk about the psoas muscle later. We see digestive issues like IBS because your body isn't in rest and digest. It's perpetually in survival. We see severe sleep disturbances because the brain thinks the predator is still watching.
And speaking of the brain, this actually changes the architecture of the brain itself. This was the part of the research that I found really validating. It's not that you're crazy or weak, it's that your brain hardware has actually reconfigured itself to survive a threat that might not exist anymore.
It's a hardware reconfiguration. You can see it on fMRI scans. There are three key players here that get out of sync.
Right.
First, the amygdala.
The smoke detector.
Right. In a traumatized brain, the amygdala becomes enlarged and hyperactive. It becomes a faulty smoke detector that goes off when you burn toast.
Huh.
A loud noise isn't just a noise, it's a gunshot. A weird look from a coworker isn't just awkward. It's a threat to your employment. It just sees danger everywhere.
And while the smoke detector is screaming, "Fire!
Fire!"
Fire!" the watchtower goes offline.
The prefrontal cortex, the PFC. This is the smart, logical, human part of the brain right behind your forehead. It's the part that says, hey, wait a minute, it's just burnt toast. We don't need the fire department. Calm down.
Yeah.
But during a trauma response, blood flow is actually diverted away from the PFC. It literally goes offline.
Which explains why you cannot reason with someone in a panic attack.
You can't.
You can't use logic when the logic center is literally unplugged.
Exactly. Telling someone to calm down or think rationally when they're triggered is physiologically impossible for them in that moment. You're asking them to use a muscle that is currently paralyzed.
And then there's the third player, which I think is maybe the most fascinating, the hippocampus.
The librarian.
The librarian.
The hippocampus is responsible for storing memories and, crucially, timestamping them. It takes an event and says, this happened in 2010, it is in the past, file it under old memories.
But trauma breaks the timestamp machine.
It does. The massive flood of stress hormones actually damages the hippocampus. It can literally shrink, so it fails to file the memory correctly. This means that when a trauma survivor gets triggered, say, by a specific smell or a sound, they aren't remembering the event like a movie from the past.
They're reliving it.
They are reliving it. To the brain, it is not 2010. It is happening right now, in this room. The body reacts as if the tiger is currently breathing down their neck.
That is profound. It's a failure of timekeeping. So just to recap the hardware situation,
Right.
we have a body that's revving and breaking at the same time, a smoke detector that's way too sensitive, a logic center that's offline, and a librarian that's asleep on the job.
That is the physiological reality of trauma. It's a systemic dysregulation.
No wonder talk therapy sometimes just hits a wall.
Yeah.
We're trying to use the offline logic center to fix the revving engine.
It's the wrong tool for the job.
It's the wrong tool. So let's pivot to the solution. How do we fix the hardware? Let's look at section 2, somatic experiencing. This takes us right back to the impala and the shake.
This is the life's work of Dr. Peter Levine. He developed somatic experiencing, or SE, based entirely on that observation of wild animals. He realized that if we want to heal, we have to finish the cycle. We have to discharge that energy. We have to do what the impala does.
There's a famous case study. He talks about the story of Nancy. I think this illustrates the concept perfectly. It's almost cinematic.
It really is the origin story of SE. So Nancy was a patient of his, suffering from severe panic attacks and agoraphobia. She was terrified of leaving her house. She was in a session with Levine, and she just started spiraling. She went into that freeze state, heart racing, paralyzed, unable to breathe. She was dissociating hard.
The gas and the brake at the same time.
Exactly. And Levine, at the time, he didn't really know what to do. This was early in his career. But he had this intuitive flash. He remembered the animals, and he just yelled at her, "Nancy, you're being chased by a tiger. Run! Run for that tree."
Now, she was lying on a massage table, right? She couldn't actually run anywhere.
She was lying down. But her body responded to the command. Her primitive brain heard, "Tiger," and "run," and it completely bypassed her conscious mind. Her legs started kicking, involuntarily.
Whoa.
She began to make running motions with her legs right there on the table. She was shaking and kicking, putting massive energy into this movement.
What was happening there? What was that?
Well, it turned out she had been strapped down during a traumatic medical procedure as a child, a tonsillectomy where the anesthesia hadn't worked properly, but she couldn't move.
Oh, that's awful.
Her body had wanted to run back then, but couldn't. The energy of that flight response got stuck for decades. Years later, by kicking her legs on that table, she finally escaped. She discharged the energy.
And the result, what happened to her symptoms?
Her symptoms, the chronic migraines, the panic, they began to disappear. She reset the system because she allowed the biological program to finally finish.
That is incredible. But I want to put a big disclaimer here. Listeners should not just go home and have their partner scream tiger at them.
Please don't.
That could end poorly. SE is a clinical method now. There are rules, there are protocols to doing this safely.
Very important rules. You don't just dive into the trauma. That's really dangerous. It can be re-traumatizing to flood the system like that. We use 2 core concepts: titration and pendulation.
Okay, let's break those down. Titration. That sounds like something from high school chemistry class.
It is borrowed directly from chemistry. If you have a volatile explosive acid and you want to neutralize it, you don't dump the whole bottle in at once.
No, it'll explode in your face.
It'll explode. You add the neutralizing agent drop by drop. In therapy, titration means touching the trauma in tiny, manageable doses.
So you don't recount the whole terrible story in the first session.
Never. You might not even talk about the story at all. For a long time, you might just talk about the edge of the feeling. The therapist might say, when you think about that car accident, what happens in your body? And you might say, feel a little tightness in my chest.
And that's it.
And the therapist says, okay, stop there. Just feel that tightness. Don't go deeper. Just notice it. That's 1 drop.
And then you use pendulation. What's that?
Right. Pendulation is the rhythm. It's the swing. You swing your intention away from the stress and towards something that feels safe.
Right.
We call that a resource. What counts as a resource? Like, what does that mean in practice?
It could be anything that feels neutral or good. It could be the physical feeling of your feet on the floor. That's a classic grounding technique. It could be looking at a pleasant painting on the wall. It could be the memory of your grandmother's kitchen. The therapist will say, okay, notice that tightness in your chest. Now shift your attention to your feet. How do they feel?
Solid? Supported.
Good. Stay with that solid feeling for a moment.
This teaches the nervous system that it's not stuck. It can move from distress to safety and back again. It restores flexibility to the brakes. It breaks the freeze state.
Now, there is a more DIY version of this shaking idea called TE tension trauma releasing exercises. This was developed by David Berceli. This is less about talk and more about vibrating.
TRE is fascinating because it aims to induce that neurogenic tremor, the Impala shake, mechanically. It's a direct intervention. It uses a series of simple exercises like wall sits and butterfly stretches to fatigue the legs and specifically the psoas muscle.
The psoas muscle. Okay, I see this come up constantly in somatic literature. Why is this one specific muscle so important?
Well, they call it the muscle of the soul, which is a bit poetic. I think the trash can of emotion is probably more accurate.
No.
The psoas is the primary hip flexor. It's this deep core muscle that connects your torso to your legs. Biologically, it is the muscle that curls you into a fetal ball when you're in danger. It's the primary fight or flight muscle.
And because we sit all day in chairs and we are chronically stressed.
It is chronically tight in almost everyone. It's holding on to years and years of tension. So TRE fatigues this muscle until it starts to shake involuntarily. You lie on the floor, you butterfly your legs, and they just start fluttering.
It looks weird. I've seen videos of it. It looks like your legs have a mind of their own.
It looks bizarre. And the experience is really profound. People laugh, they cry, they feel heat radiating from their lower back. But what's happening is a deep release of fascial tension. It's the body vibrating the stress out. People report this incredible sense of calm afterwards, like they just ran 10 miles, but without any of the effort.
It's hitting restorative factory settings.
That's the perfect way to put it. And the beauty of it is you don't necessarily have to know what you are releasing. You don't have to analyze, oh, this shake is from my breakup in 2015. The body just does the work.
The body does the work. I love that. That's really the mantra today. Okay, let's move to section 3. We've talked about the gas and the brake and the muscles. Now let's talk about the wiring that connects it all. The vagus nerve.
Ah, the superstar of the nervous system. You can't open social media these days without seeing someone talking about vagal tone.
It's everywhere. But let's get past the buzzwords. What is it really?
Vagus means wandering in Latin. And it's a perfect name because this nerve literally wanders from your brainstem down through your neck. It touches your vocal cords, your heart, your lungs, and it wraps all around your gut. It is the longest nerve in the body.
And it's the master switch for the parasympathetic system. It's the brake.
Correct. But Dr. Stephen Porges gave us the polyvagal theory, which adds a crucial layer of nuance here. He imagines the nervous system not as a simple on-off switch, but as a ladder.
I like the ladder visual. Walk us through. What are the rungs?
Okay, so at the very top of the ladder, you have the ventral vagal state. This is social engagement. This is when you feel safe, connected, calm. You can make eye contact. Your voice is melodic. You can listen to others. This is where we want to live. This is connection.
Okay, top of the ladder, feeling good. Then something happens. A threat appears, and you step down a rung.
You fall into the sympathetic state. Mobilization, danger, fight, flight. The world stops feeling safe and starts feeling like a threat. Connection is cut off. It's all about survival.
And the bottom rung, what's down there?
The dorsal vagal state. The freeze. Total shutdown. Life threat. This is the oldest, most primitive part of our nervous system.
So healing is about climbing up that ladder. Getting
Yeah.
from dorsal through sympathetic back to ventral where we can connect.
That's the whole game.
And we can measure the health of this nerve through something called HRV, right? Heart rate variability.
Yes, HRV is a key metric. A healthy heart doesn't beat like a metronome. If your heart rate is 60 beats per minute, it's not beating exactly every 1 point so seconds. The interval varies slightly. It might be 0.9 seconds, then 1.1 seconds, then 0.95 seconds.
Why does it vary like that?
Because the vagus nerve is constantly tapping the brake. It's micro-adjusting based on your breathing and your environment. It's incredibly responsive. High HRV, lots of variability, means your brake is sensitive and working well, you're resilient.
And low HRV.
Low HRV means the brake is broken or stuck. You're stuck in stress mode.
Okay, so if we have low HRV or we feel stuck at the bottom of that ladder, how do we hack this nerve? Since it runs through the body, can we actually, touch it?
We can. We can use what people call biohacks to stimulate it mechanically. Since it runs through the neck and chest, we can access it from the outside.
All right, let's look at the toolbox. First up, cold water. This is a really popular one.
It's popular because it works instantly. It triggers something called the mammalian diving reflex.
The diving reflex.
It's an ancient evolutionary trait. If you plunge your face into cold water, your body thinks, oh, I am underwater.
And if you're underwater, you need to conserve oxygen to survive.
Exactly. So the vagus nerve instantly fires to slow the heart rate and shunt blood to the vital organs. It is an immediate mechanical brake on panic.
Wow.
If you are spiraling, if you are having a panic attack, splash ice-cold water on your face. Or put an ice pack on the back of your neck where the nerve is close to the surface. It forces a physiological reset.
That's a fantastic emergency tool. What about breathing? Everyone says take a deep breath, but that's not quite right, is it?
No, it's a bit of a misunderstanding. Taking a big, gasping inhale actually activates the sympathetic system. That's the gas pedal.
Oh, interesting.
The real key to vagal breathing is the exhale.
The exhale is the brake.
The exhale is the brake. When you exhale, you activate the parasympathetic system. So the trick is to lengthen the exhale. The 4-7-8 method is a classic. Inhale for a count of 4, hold your breath for 7, and then exhale slowly for a count of 8.
So the out breath is twice as long as the in breath.
Exactly. That long, slow exhale mechanically stimulates the vagus nerve as it passes through the diaphragm. You are physically massaging the nerve with your breath.
I've also heard that humming works, which, I'll be honest, sounds a bit woo-woo, but you're telling me there's real anatomy behind it.
It's pure anatomy. The vagus nerve passes right through the vocal cords and the larynx. Humming, chanting om, singing loudly, even gargling, it all creates vibration in the throat. That vibration physically massages the nerve from the inside out.
Plus, it signals safety to the brain, right?
Think about it. You don't hum when you're being chased by a tiger. Humming tells the primitive brain, I am safe enough to make noise. It kind of tricks the brain into a state of safety.
There's also some interesting tech coming out for this. TVNS. What is that?
Transcutaneous vagus nerve stimulation. These are small devices, often they look like little ear clips that you'd use with a 10S unit, that send a mild electrical impulse to the branch of the vagus nerve in the ear.
So it's like a pacemaker for your relaxation system.
That's a great way to think about it. Basically, yes. And the research is very, very promising. Studies are showing it can reduce inflammation and PTSD symptoms. It helps raise that vagal tone, that HRV, over time without you having to do anything but wear the clip. It's retraining the nerve to fire more readily.
Amazing. Okay, so we've got shaking, cold water, humming, breathing. Now let's talk about something that seems completely contradictory. We said the body gets stuck because it couldn't fight back. So what if we let it fight back? Let's talk about section 4, therapeutic boxing.
This one often confuses people. They ask, why would I use violence to heal from trauma? Isn't peace the goal? But you have to remember the car analogy.
Gas and brake.
The foot is stuck on the gas. The energy is there. Therapeutic boxing isn't about violence. It's about agency.
Agency, the feeling that I can do something, that I'm not helpless.
Exactly. Trauma strips you of agency. You felt helpless. You couldn't push the attacker away. You couldn't say no. You were powerless. Boxing allows the body to physically enact the response that was thwarted at the time.
But this isn't just going to a gym and hitting a heavy bag. It's done with a therapist.
Right. Critically, it's in a therapeutic container. You're hitting pads called Bratson that are held by a therapist, and it's highly controlled. It focuses on mindfulness and proprioception, knowing where your body is in space.
So what is the specific mechanism here? How does hitting a pad help?
There are two main ones. First, emotion regulation. In the session, you learn to ramp up aggression, to hit the pad hard, scream, let the rage out, and then immediately stop on command and calm down.
So you're practicing using the gas pedal and then slamming on the brake.
Precisely. You are exercising the transition. You learn that you can feel powerful, immense anger, and then you can control it. You want to slave to the rage. You are the driver of the car.
And the second mechanism.
Boundaries. If you've experienced trauma, your sense of personal boundaries is often shattered. You don't know where you end and the world begins. Boxing teaches you physical distance. You learn what it feels like to push something away. The physical act of a punch is the somatic equivalent of screaming no.
That must be incredibly empowering for someone who has felt like a victim their whole life.
It rewires the identity. You move from I am helpless to I am strong, I can protect myself. That is self-efficacy. You feel the impact in your bones. It convinces the primitive brain that you are no longer the prey. You are capable of defense.
That is really powerful. Okay, moving from the fists to the hands in a different way. Let's look at section 5, rewiring without words. We're talking about art and sand.
This goes right back to the brain disconnect we talked about at the beginning. When trauma is active, the prefrontal cortex goes offline. But specifically, a part of it called Broca's area, the speech center, often shuts down.
This is why talk therapy can be so frustrating for people. You literally cannot find the words.
The words don't exist in that moment because the part of the brain that makes words is offline. So we need to bypass the words. We need to speak the language of images, of sensation, which brings us to neurographic art.
This looks really cool, by the way. If you haven't seen it, you should look it up. The final images look like neurons or river deltas.
They do. It was developed by a psychologist named Pavel Piskarev in 2014. It's based on the idea of neuroplasticity, that we can literally reshape our neural pathways through the act of drawing.
How does it work? What's the process?
It starts with an act of catharsis. You take a pen and you just draw a chaotic, angry scribble on the page. That scribble represents the problem, the mess in your head. You just dump all that anxious emotion onto the paper.
Okay, so I have a page of angry scribbles. Now what?
Now comes the magic step. Rounding. You look at that scribble, and everywhere 2 lines cross and make a sharp corner or a hard intersection, you color it in. You round it out, making it smooth.
Why rounding? What's the psychology behind that?
To the subconscious mind, sharp corners and jagged lines represent conflict, thorns, danger. Circles and curves represent harmony, flow, safety. By physically rounding out the sharp edges of your problem, you are visually transforming the trauma from something jagged and painful into something smooth and interconnected.
It sounds meditative.
It's extremely meditative. It puts the brain into a flow state. It calms the observer. You are taking chaos and creating order with your own hand. It's a very direct way to self-soothe, and you're creating new visual and thus neural pathways of connection as you draw.
And then there is sand tray therapy. Now, this sounds like child's play, but it's used for adults too.
Very much so. It's a world-building technique. You have a box of sand, and often the bottom of the box is painted blue to represent water or sky, and then you have shelves full of hundreds of tiny miniatures.
What kind of miniatures?
Everything. People, monsters, trees, cars, fences, soldiers, animals, mythical creatures, anything you can imagine.
And you build a scene.
You build a world in the sand. This is a process called externalization. You take the internal, chaotic, unspeakable feeling inside you, and you put it outside your body into 3D space.
That separation seems so important. It's not in me anymore. It's in the box.
Exactly. You can look at it from a distance, you gain perspective, but more importantly, you can change it. Let's say you build a scene where a small child figure is surrounded by monster figures. That's the trauma visualized.
That's a heavy image.
It is. But then the therapist might ask, what does this child need? And the client might reach for a wall miniature or a hero figure or a helper animal and place it in the sand to protect the child.
So they can physically move the monster away.
Yes, they can bury the monster in the sand. This provides a somatic experience of resolution that talking just can't give you. You are rewriting the story with your hands. The brain sees the resolution. It registers. The child is safe now.
Yeah.
That feeling of relief is real, even if it's just figures in a box of sand.
It's giving the hippocampus, the librarian, a new ending to the story.
Exactly. It helps place the timestamp. That was then. This is now. I have control over the landscape.
I love that. Okay, final section. Section 6, nature. We've looked inside the body. We've looked at art. Now we're looking at the environment around us.
The ultimate co-regulator.
And we're not just talking about, getting some fresh air. This is the biophilia hypothesis.
Right. We have to remember that as a species, we spent 99.9% of our evolutionary history outdoors. Our nervous systems are calibrated to the sounds and sights of nature, the sound of birds, the rustle of leaves, the fractal patterns in a fern. These signal safety to our primitive brain.
Whereas silence, or the hum of a refrigerator, or traffic.
Those are alien signals to our ancient biology. They require cognitive processing. Nature offers what's called soft attention. It gives the brain a break. It lowers the cognitive load.
Talk to me about walled bathing, or forest bathing. It's
Yeah.
a Japanese practice, right? Shinrin-yoku.
It is. And
Yeah.
it's not hiking. It's not about exercise or getting your heart rate up. It is about immersing yourself in the forest atmosphere. And the science here is surprisingly chemical.
Chemical, how so?
Trees communicate with each other using airborne chemicals called phytoncides or tokines. These are compounds that protect them from pests and disease. When we walk in a forest, we breathe these in.
And what do they do to us?
They interact with our immune system. They've been shown to boost the activity of our natural killer cells, the cells that fight cancer and viruses, but they also significantly lower cortisol and blood pressure.
Wow.
You are literally inhaling the forest's immune system, which calms and regulates your own.
That is wild. So the forest is essentially drugging us in a good way.
In a very real way, yes. It's an atmospheric regulator. And then there's the soil itself. Therapeutic gardening.
Getting your hands dirty.
There is a specific bacterium in healthy soil called Mycobacterium vaccae, and studies have shown that when we touch the soil or inhale microscopic particles of it while gardening, it stimulates serotonin production in the brain.
Wait, are you telling me that dirt is an antidepressant?
Literally. Getting your hands dirty can mimic the effect of serotonin-boosting drugs. But gardening also offers something else that's crucial for trauma recovery: rhythm and predictability.
How so?
Trauma is chaos. It's loss of control. It's radical unpredictability. A garden is the exact opposite. You plant a seed, it grows, the seasons change, winter comes, then spring returns. It is a predictable cycle. Being part of that cycle grounds us. It reminds the nervous system that life goes on, that growth is possible.
And I imagine the caretaking aspect is huge, too.
Huge! If you have been a victim, you often feel small and needy. In a garden, you are the nurturer. You are the one giving life. You water the plants, you protect them from pests. Shifting from the identity of I need help to I am giving help is an incredibly powerful identity shift.
It restores agency again. Just like the boxing, just like the sand tray.
It all comes back to agency and safety, every single one of these tools.
So we've covered a lot today. We've covered shaking, breathing, cold water, boxing, drawing, playing in sand, and digging in dirt. It feels like we're building a massive toolbox.
That's the goal. Healing isn't one size fits all. Some people might need the high-energy discharge of boxing. Others might need the quiet containment of drawing. Still, others might need the simple vibration of humming.
But the common thread through all of it is that we're listening to the hardware. We aren't trying to code our way out of a hardware glitch anymore.
Exactly. We are telling the nervous system, in its own language, which is sensation, not words, that the war is over. You are safe now.
I want to leave our listeners with a thought that kind of turns this all on its head. We usually look at these symptoms, the shaking, the panic, the rage, as the illness, as the problem. We want them to stop.
Right. We pathologize them. We say, I have a disorder because I'm shaking.
But based on what we've learned today, what if the shaking isn't the disorder? What if the shaking is the cure?
That is the provocative thought, isn't it? The body hasn't betrayed you. The shaking, the heat, the waves of energy, that is your body desperately trying to heal itself. It's trying to discharge the energy. The problem isn't the shaking. The problem is that we stop the shaking.
We suppress the cure because it looks messy, because we've been taught to.
Exactly. Maybe the body has been waiting for you to just get out of the way, to listen to the language it speaks, to let the tiger run.
So here's our call to action for you today. You don't have to sign up for a boxing class tomorrow, but try one small thing. Next time you feel that stress rising, or you feel that tired but wired feeling coming on tonight, try a cold splash of water on your face. Or do the 4-7-8 breathing just for 1 minute.
Yeah.
Or just shut the door to your office and shake your hands and legs for 2 minutes.
Just see what happens. See if you can shift the state even a little. Regain that agency.
Your body knows how to heal. We just need to give it permission. Thank you for diving deep with us today.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll see you on the next one.
Take care of your nervous systems, everyone.